I move that we open the meeting.
Second.
On favor? Yes, Peter?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And I move that we exit the meeting at 6:31. We can start it, that's it, yep. And enter executive session at 6:32.
Second.
All in favor, Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yeah.
Dan?
Yes.
5 yeses. We're now in executive session, so we need to pause.
Thank you for all your work.
Yeah. Thank you. Long time no see.
Yeah. I think you went to see a person who was.
Or we want to take the sign down.
Yeah. Okay. So I move that we authorize the town to enter into a purchase and sale agreement with Mitchell White for the 4-acre parcel at 1039 Augusta Road, map 7, lot 63A, at the agreed upon price.
Second. Say
Belgrade. Second by Carol.
Yes.
Any further discussion? All in favor, Dan?
Yeah.
Carol?
Yes.
Melanie? Yes. Peter?
Yes.
5 yeses.
Woo-hoo.
Good job, rock and roll.
Yeah.
That the purchase will come out of the fire department's capital reserve.
Building capital reserve.
Good point.
Building. There's two.
Does that need to be in motion? And I think as long as we understand it. Yeah, as long as,
We can do that when
Yeah.
it's finalized.
Yeah.
Just the way we can.
Good point. Right, exactly.
We don't know about that. So Laura, you'll contact Phil and.
I will. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank
I know your work is-
And all the hard work.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
guys. Good night.
Well, thanks you guys too.
Bye, not sticking around.
I'm gonna hop on the phone.
All right. We are now open for public comment, which is anything that people would like to bring up that's not on the agenda. Does anyone have anything? Seeing none. I move that we review and approve the minutes of July 11th. Okay, come on now.
I don't see her out there. I think she was. No, I was just sitting in my car. Yeah. Yeah.
Come on in, we have a little bit of business to conduct before we turn to you. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes? Questions? Questions?
The only thing I wanted to check on was the tree services to make sure that we had added in an emergency clause. Has that been done yet? Then
I just got that information from Bruce tonight so that I can finalize those two and get those out this week. Yep.
question right there.
Okay. Anything else on minutes?
No.
I move we accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Dan?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Melanie? Yes. 5 in favor. And now we'll move on to unfinished business. And it's unfinished because we were hoping that you would be here sooner.
Oh.
Not tonight, I mean, we had you on an agenda that didn't, when it didn't work out.
Right. Yep.
Okay, so, Jane. Now, Lorna, would you like to?
I know that I sent you out some photos that Corey provided doing some more digging into one of those properties. There are several things that are going to have to be fixed. He's gonna hop on, I think, once he gets one, because he wanted to talk about that, but other than that, most of what Jane picked up on with regard to like the radon and that sort of thing, the fire pit, Corey has already addressed those.
Was either property previously tested for radon?
I don't think they were, no.
I can't answer that. For sure, if I have that one, thank you very much.
You can't answer for sure.
Yeah, I can't answer for sure. I'm gonna say no.
I don't think they were.
The law was just enacted in 2014, so if it was in 2014, then may as well just test it again. Because we're coming up on the 10-year mark, so even if it was in 2014, we would have to do it again. It's a very simple test, it's just a radon air test. Testing kits can be purchased at Northeast Labs, where we prefer to do that because then everything stays locally. But you can also purchase them at Lowe's or Home Depot. They're 72-hour air tests, set it, and then pick them up and send them back. Very easy in a property like, I believe it's 10, the brown one. That house would be like one in the basement and one on the first floor. So if the radon test does come back high, which I'm not sure about this area, it's all really dependent upon the ground. The only thing that needs to happen is you just need to disclose that. It doesn't need to have a radon mitigation system. You don't have to do anything else. It's just now that it's been exposed, so to speak, it will have to be disclosed. And if the town ever decides to sell that, that would be part of the sale and you'd have to disclose.
Right.
And does it matter what time of year you do it? We tested our house over the winter.
You can do a winter, spring, summer, or fall.
It doesn't-
We find that it's easier to do. It really doesn't matter if the windows are open, closed, but I prefer to try to control the test area and do it when the windows are closed. To me, it just makes sense. You don't want to disturb the air. So you don't want fans or air conditioners running during that time. But it's a fairly easy test to run.
Very easy.
Yeah.
And Jane, I'm sorry, I didn't officially introduce you.
I'm
We
Jane
just jumped right in.
Robert.
Jane Robert,
Correct. Yep.
like
I'm with
Spectrum Property Management.
Yes.
I think you say you were available.
So I sent some general information in regards to Spectrum and the services that we have.
Yes.
We've been in business since 2009. Prior to that, I was a real estate agent right here in Belgrade.
And
you're in Oakland?
Yes, we're located at 58 Main Street, in Oakland, right across from Subway. So it makes it convenient for lunch.
Have you tried the new bakery, right?
I was just kidding, I never go there.
So I had a question. The fee for the management is $110 per month per property. So that would be for 8, and there would be
That's correct.
$210 fees. per
That's
month.
correct. So I know that 8, I believe you have a tenant in.
10, 8 is the brown house.
8 is the, okay, so 10, I think that there was a few issues with that person, but we can work through that with him. It's all gonna be dependent on whether or not it's somebody that you want to remain in tenancy, as to how strongly, we are with him. I just understand that he has a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Which could potentially be a problem later on down the road, or for the building itself. So that would be something we have to look at. But yes, we charge $110 per unit per month. And for that is full management, so we're on call for all the tenants need something on the weekends, 365 days, 7 days a week. So there's an after hours number, there's an on-call number, there's email, they can go on our website and launch a request. And there's several different ways they can text. So if there's something major going on, and then all we need is just to know who the specific vendors are that you're using for, like, the furnace goes out, who do I call? And if you don't have anyone, that's fine, we generally use Fabian Oil unless somebody has a issue.
We have our own in town.
There you go.
Yeah, we do.
Yep.
Augusta Fuel, who was just bought out by Denmark.
Yep.
Wow.
So we do business with AFC also, so. Now, we have accounts under Spectrum, and the reason for that is to make it easy. So when I call, we already have it. Especially if it's in the middle of the night, there's no, well, you need to pay this amount or whatever. It's very seamless, it's very easy. We simply put in a call and have them come out, take a look at whatever the problem is. Most of the times it's something simple, and sometimes it's just tenant error. Ran out of fuel. That's happened before, so those are things that we'll be asking them when they call, I know.
Now, are those the sort of things, though, Gina, if you call someone, then the town is on the hook for whatever your contracted cost is? Because like we have our own pump.
Yep.
We have our true removal people, we have our own.
Vice versa.
Right,
So all I need is their names and numbers, and those would be the people that I call. If they're going to be available, say, Christmas Eve at 10 o'clock at night, when I get the phone call that says, we don't have any heat, is there somebody who's gonna leave their family to go?
That's what's in the contract.
Okay. Then that works good for me. Just give me their names. The other question was, there was some sort of filter,
Uranium,
on the kitchen sink,
yeah, first osmosis is 1 in 10 and 1 in 8.
so that's just a point.
Yeah. at
Okay.
point, Yeah,
And then there was some question whether or not fuel was included in these rentals, which I think is I mean, I understand the reason for it, but,
we've done it both ways.
okay,
So the first round of tenants was a sub price for the rent, and they paid for their heat and electricity. So then what we found were multiple times, they ran out of oil, the furnace shut off, we were paying for that to be reset. So then we changed the pricing on the monthly and included the heat, so that we didn't have frozen pipes and things like that going on.
so I would say if you wanna do it that way, that's absolutely fine, but we should do a limitation. Meaning that the property generally uses, for simplicity, $1,000, 1,000 gallons per season. So we say to the tenant, we are gonna contract with you, you will have your rent, and your fuel will be paid for up to 1,000 gallons. That forces them to be more cognizant and frugal with the heat. Nobody like, walking into an apartment that's super hot in the middle of winter, everyone's running around in shorts and no shoes on, and, saying it's too hot. So by putting that back on them, saying, okay, you have 1,000 gallons. That's what you have for 1 full year, or however long the term is. In a hot water baseboard, obviously, it's probably gonna be in a 12-month period. And that way they, instead of hitting the thermostat, they just decide to maybe put on a sweater. I mean, that's what I do, right? We all own our own homes, and I don't know about you, but when my kids go near the thermostat, I'm like, hey, anybody's got an extra $100, unless you don't, put some sweaters on.
Back away from it.
Back away, yeah, exactly.
Anything over that, because the town also contracts for our fuel.
Mhm.
So anything over that would they then pay what rack prices?
They would pay what you pay. So you would send me the bill for the overage at $500, and I would present that with the tenant and tell them that that needs to be reimbursed with the next month's rent. Now, we would make sure, when we rent to people, our biggest thing is making sure that the rent is no more than a quarter of their income. So by using that guideline, you save yourself a lot of headache and heartache. Most people think, you know, if I make 4,000, I can afford a $1,500 rent. Not really. Because the first thing that goes wrong, you're going to stop paying your rent to fix your car or have your kid's birthday or whatever. So, once that bill comes in, you simply send it to me saying, they've expended their 1,000 gallons, this is, or whatever it is, this is the bill that's owed, and I would call them. And I would simply just relay the information and send that to them with the expectation that it would be, recouped and reimbursed to you. Now, one thing we can do is take a fuel deposit, which we've done in the past. And that protects the owners against somebody either going in and using the fuel that's in the tank at the time. Or this situation where maybe, you know, we take, I don't know, $1,000 and we stick that with the security deposit. And we tell the tenant, that's just in case you don't pay your bill. That gives them the option at that point to either be integral, follow the contract, and pay what they agreed to, or we just use that money. Then we really have to look at whether or not we want to keep them in place.
Now, if you have, sorry, is it okay if I keep talking about? So like when I get my oil, my tank is a 300-gallon tank, it has a 275-gallon capacity.
Right.
So if they were to come into the home that is absolutely empty, and we said 1,000 gallons, and that tank was filled 4 times, they maybe didn't necessarily use all of that oil.
Right, it will have to be approximated at the time. So what I would suggest is having the tanks full upon occupancy. That way we take a photo of the gauge itself, so we know that it was full. So you've got your 275 tank, they fill it what, 250, 25, probably like 25 gallon head space. That way we know, so that starts there, 250 gallons. They'll have 3 more fill-ups.
Okay.
And then after that, so one would think that as long as you are using it frugally, you should, I mean, really, unless you're jacking the heat up to 75 or 80, or there's a problem with the heating system that's not putting out enough heat, then that should be enough. It's whatever gallons you decide. It's just an idea that we came up with to try to protect the owners from suffering more loss. God knows, you know, there's a bunch of horror stories out there, so we definitely want to make sure that we're protecting you.
So now, Bruce, is there a hot water on demand system
Yeah.
in 8, but not in 10?
10's electric.
So we would end up
8,
saving money
right,
because of the hot water on demand.
right, and 10 is electric hot water.
Oh,
Eight,
so it must be
eight is
forced,
for propane.
so it's a forced hot air.
Right.
So,
Number 10 is forced hot air. Number 8 is on demand, on demand heat too. On the fuel part of it, you should be able to go, Nick should be able to pull last year's fuel, oil. And then you should be able to calculate it from there.
oil, propane.
Yeah, both.
Yeah, because we didn't do the hot water on demand though until partway through the year, so the propane.
No, that propane on demand's been there for 20 years.
Oh, I was thinking, where did we just, I thought we just, oh, never mind, I'm not thinking of the right property. Ocean Furnace, because I know we just did.
Jane, one of the things, do you have an exclusion on, trampolines?
We have an exclusion for trampolines, fire pits, swing sets, yard sales. Mostly anything. So what we're trying to get away from is people dragging all their stuff out to the front lawn and putting a big sale sign on it.
Right.
No, we're not doing that. Trampolines are dangerous
They are.
inherently, even if they have renter's insurance, you still run the risk of having some sort of liable situation. Swing sets are not as bad, but they cause damage to the grounds. So we just tell people, no, go to the park.
You're right next door. You got
There you go.
a playground right there.
Right.
So I do, yes, there are a lot of
Okay,
clauses and a lot of exclusions in there to make sure that to try to lock it up as much as possible. You're never gonna be foolproof, but any little thing around like the castle, any little thing around, the little moats around the castles,
Right,
but yes, absolutely.
and this is waterfront, so we need to make sure that we. Yeah, I think I don't know, I would say we do not allow them to put in a dock. That's my personal opinion, I don't know how the rest of us feel, but I think that's something we should specify. Either you can or you can't put in a dock. I mean, they can go next door and.
Well, you
and
can't put
use
your
that.
own dock in because the frontage is owned by the town of Belgrade. That's not part of the rental property. The actual right of way for 8 and 10 crisscrosses the rec center property to this and goes to the dock that's existing.
Right, I mean, those are the rec center docks. I'm just saying that we exclude their ability to put in a dock. That they
Yeah,
know
they're all
there are no docks.
And there, and
No
there,
dogs.
and there really is no right of way.
Right.
Once we own the
We own-
property, it's gone,
Right.
Yeah,
so it's no right of way.
So all I would need to know is, are they allowed to utilize the center, the waterfront?
So now you're putting in a kayak or something
Yeah,
like that.
I would
So swimming. I mean, we do have a blurb that we put that just says, property is located on the shores of Great Pond. As such, there's an inherent risk for personal injury. Tenant agrees to hold Town of Belgrade, Spectrum Property Management harmless and indemnify us in those situations. Now, does that protect us whole? No, but it's just another moat around. Now, as far as the dock, if you were gonna allow it, I would say only if it's professionally installed.
well, I personally don't want one, but I think I'd rather we be clear.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're on the waterfront, you cannot use a dock.
No dock.
And the.
You cannot
beaches-
have your own dock.
You cannot have your own
You
dock,
can use the dock.
use the other, use the other property when the. Camp is not running,
Or when the Center for All Seasons is not being utilized.
being utilized, so yeah.
Right.
rented, yeah.
Business.
That's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, that's a tough one to say anyways, because you guys have it open to the public. So anybody can use it anytime.
Can they use it during camp time?
Yep. That's open to the public anytime.
It would be very difficult to say you can use this except that during this, you know what I mean?
Except during the hottest parts of the day.
Right.
Well, you're always gonna have someone who's they're gonna buck the system, they're gonna go down there. I mean, we either say they can or they can't. I would say they can, if it's.
If it's open to the public.
It's open to the public, they can.
Yeah,
I would say that I wouldn't allow them to bring motorboats.
Motorboats
Right,
to the dock, right?
so that would mean they can use
They
the
could,
dog in the same way that the public can use the dog.
right.
Right.
Put Canoe in, kayak.
so only a canoe or a non-motorized
Non-motorized.
watercraft.
But not to store it there.
No, because it's
Not
not.
to store it on the town property, but if they have one, we have to allow people the ability to have a kayak at a rental property.
Right, at the
At
property
their
they're renting.
property that they're-
Right, they're just gonna have to drag, they're gonna have to drag
But
it
you
back.
can't drag it out and leave it on the side. and-
So they
You
can
can't
launch.
drag it
They can launch-
They can launch.
You drag it back to your property.
And they can't tie their sailboat up to the dock and leave it there all summer.
Right.
Right?
I
You
mean,
sound
that's-
like you're talking from experience, which is, yeah,
Been
okay,
there, done that.
no.
Do that thing.
So they can't, so at the end of the day, they can't moor it to the dock,
Right,
Yeah, we didn't have little slips.
okay?
yeah, 3 years now.
I understand that the fire pit was removed. Or is
Corey.
going to be.
Uh,
I think that's what I read, was that,
Yes, he said he had already spoken with the tenant.
yeah. It's just another hazard.
Well, it's just like if you have a wood stove in your house and you're renting it,
No,
they say no.
I just get scared when you see fire pits because people think nothing of,
There he is.
throwing the wood on and the flames are.
Yeah.
potentially high.
Corey, you already spoke with the tenant about the fire pit?
Yes, he's already removed most of it.
Good.
And do we have a policy on trailers and campers on site?
We don't allow them to park a camper or a trailer
Okay.
on site. It's only their own personal vehicle. a motorcycle, no ATVs. We don't, it's not a dumping ground, it's not a parking lot. And I just tell people, look, there's a storage area not far away. I mean, if you want to store your stuff on your property, then purchase your own home.
Yeah,
I mean, we have to be very strict on those things because you allow one and the next thing you know, you drive over there and there's like, 13 boats and, things up on blocks, which is something that we don't allow any inoperable or unlicensed vehicles, trailers, boats, anything like that is not allowed.
Yeah.
Can we see a sample contract that we use?
For a rental,
Yes.
yes, I can email that. I don't have one with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if you could email it to Lorna, then she can get it out to us.
Now, are you gonna be doing this on a yearly lease or a month-to-month tenancy?
I'm thinking you're
I
Yearly,
think we'd like to do it on a yearly lease.
Can I ask why? Is it just because you think that someone's gonna be locked in for 12 months?
yeah.
So it's really a false sense of security.
Okay.
After, we identify time now as post-COVID and pre-COVID. Like we used to with DC and AD. So pre-COVID, we were writing leases, no problem. Post-COVID, we do month-to-month tenancies, because what we found is that a lot of laws were enacted and gave the tenants even more power, if you will. And so you're only, even if you have a really good lease, you cannot evict somebody because you don't like them, because they're not following the rules. I mean, you can, but you would have to go into court with a lot of records to
Okay.
prove to the judge. It's just a thought. I don't mind writing a lease, that's fine. Month to month is the same thing, it just doesn't have a. I understand the month to month is like, geez, they could move in and then move right back out. They could do that with a lease too.
Yeah, I was gonna say it.
Right.
At least really protects the tenant, not the owner.
The only thing that it protects you is the way that it's written. If it's stringent enough that a judge and any lay person can clearly read it and understand the terms of it. Now, I've been to court enough times, I've seen the wrong day and the right judge, and I've seen people walk away and the landlord scratching his head. So I'm just, I'm here to protect the town. That's my job. So I mean, you can write a lease, but just know that if they violate it, really your only recourse is small claims court, and I would never tell you to do that. That's like throwing good money after bad. Just let them go.
So if she's recommending monthly instead of yearly leasing, my recommendation to you guys would be definitely go monthly.
But the only problem with that is then if we say, you have X number of fuel gallons for the year, and then you have a tenant who moves out after 2 months, then now they've used a portion of somebody else's allotment or.
And it could get messy.
So you might have to prorate it.
Right.
Yeah, we used to have an apartment building and we changed our leases to specify the month-to-month tenancy. And the cold hard reason was that at the time, maybe it's not now, but at the time, it was just a lot easier to throw them out.
It's called no cause.
Right.
Yeah.
We want you out.
It's a business decision. Here's your 30-day notice. Pack up your kit and caboodle and hit the road. That's how we do it.
So I'm a really nice guy. But I had a tenant, I went over, her kids are hanging around her knees, looking up at me, smiling. Hi, Mr. Hall. Hi, how are you? Oh, I'm good. How are you? I hope you had a wonderful day. Here's your eviction notice. You're gonna have to get out. Because there were that many more problems, not kids.
Yeah.
But the mom.
Yeah,
Because with a lease, you can't do that. There's
Well,
no jerk factor.
not without really being able to prove
A breach.
a breach.
And it has to be a serious breach.
Yeah, significant.
well, maybe you could look at how we might word something on fuel, so.
Right.
Can do.
Prorated or so much for a season or something. so we could look at that.
I never got an answer about pets. Were you gonna allow pets?
Although doesn't the gentleman in the property now have a cat or cats? Corey?
We can grandfather him in.
But just so we don't,
Yeah.
Pets make a mess, like that.
Yeah, they make a mess and it's right next door. If it's a dog, it's right next door to
Well,
the center for all seasons where there are kids in and out of there all the time.
it's too bad because it's the pet owner. It's the irresponsible pet owner that doesn't.
That makes it bad for everybody.
The only time that
Could they
it's-
have a pet that's not like a cat or a dog or a big cat? Or,
I don't allow it. I don't allow turtles, snakes, lizards. No, if it's in a terrarium, no. Because I gotta go over there. So.
He does have a cat.
He does have a cat.
He has a cat.
I'm sending Corey.
Fish tanks leak.
Fish tanks. Anything over a 5 gallon, you run the risk of having some sort of catastrophic tidal wave happen. The only time that this may change is if somebody has a therapy and ESA cat. If they don't meet the other criteria, then we can talk about how to get around it. It's difficult when somebody presents with an ESA and service animal or a service animal. It's illegal to deny them based on that, so that'll be a case by case basis. And the problem that we've actually, our legislators, with the Central Maine Apartment Owners Association, and our attorney, Dan Bernier, have been fighting relentlessly. We finally got it down to, it has to be a 4-legged furry animal. Because before that, it could have been a snake, a monkey, a bat, didn't matter.
Yeah.
somebody had a peacock.
I know.
Pretty much it was a bird. Yes.
And I don't like, and we don't rent to people with birds because they take them out of the cage and the bird flies around and birds not really trained. So, you're gonna have poop everywhere. And then that comes with bird rights. So we're all set on that. The animals themselves, though, for service, it's gonna depend on the letter. Now, the note can be written by anyone who is associated with the medical profession. It does not need to be an MD. It can be a PA, it could be a nurse practitioner, it could be a nurse assistant, it could be a psychologist, it's like a psychiatrist. I mean, anyone who just, it's like, I ate lunch at the hospital, I'm gonna write you a note kind of thing. So we just have to be really smart about how we handle that part. I mean, I don't wanna ever say to somebody, no, because of your dog. If it's a true, back in the day, it was a true service animal, to be properly trained, and it was for a special need, whether it was hearing impaired, vision impaired, motor skills, whatever. Now it's just, I'm sad, I need a cat. I don't know if that really fits the criteria, but people, and they can do multiple things. Because I had somebody just a few days ago present me with a note that said we have 4 cats. And I'm like, what do you need 4 cats? I mean, I get it, you need your animals, but good grief. The note said. Yeah, they went into the maybe don't pile. And then Corey had said that, mowing and plowing are included, he's gonna take care of that.
Yes, the town does that.
Okay, that's even better. So in including everything, you can go kind of the top end of the market.
Right.
Which, what is the top end of the market? It all depends on who you're talking to. I mean, there are several people out there that have skewed the market, they've gouged. People out there asking for $2,000. Who has $2,000 for a rent? That's the problem that we're coming into, is that the prices that were pre-COVID, fast forward 3 years, they shot up through the roof. You can't find a 1-bedroom apartment in Waterville, heat, not water included, for under $950. I think that's ridiculous, because you're looking at people who are working minimum wage or maybe a step up from that. To me, that's very difficult for them. So we'd have to really price this so that it's appealing to people and attainable. That's the other part of it.
Who gave us the?
For most of our properties, for multifamilies, we go around and give out salt and sand buckets. For the single family homes, it's on the tenant. Because they usually plow. So in this case, it might just be prudent to have a sand salt bucket there at the property. And say, you know, this is for the driveway when you walk in and it's icy. If it's super icy, then I would say the town should put down some salt or sand.
We did something in the master agreement.
Yes. So it says that the tenant is responsible for their walkway, their stairs, their porch. And then the town will be responsible for the driveway itself. If right. Our
Town's kind of got one foot on each side of it. Slip and fall on town property. Town doesn't have much liability, it's mobile versus private. So that, we've asked questions about liability. And all things. Kind of wonder how that works.
They get hurt, they're still gonna sue you, you still have to defend yourself. Whether they get any money, doesn't matter, you still have to go through the defense.
If they sue, chances are they're gonna walk away with something because the insurance company is just gonna pay them off. They get some fines. So we would just provide them with the salt and sand buckets. We do photo documentation, so we would document that and just put salt and sand. And then we tell them, it is up to you, Mr. Tenant, to let us know when you're out. We're not driving around checking salt and sand buckets. And then if Corey thinks that the driveway is super icy, probably put down some, I would say sand. Only because of the well and the water. But I don't know if the town, or if they pre-mix it. Yeah, so.
But it's not as hazardous.
We also have salt. Just like any other town.
Right.
We fill the buckets.
Oh, off of 135.
Yeah, we bring it up here at the salt stations. Yeah.
So there you go. Okay, that works.
There are no smoking policy in any of the buildings.
All buildings are non-smoking. That means any lighted or vape material. So it's cigarettes, pipes, cigars, marijuana, cannabis, e-cigarettes, e-vapes, all of that is a no-no. Now, whether or not you want to make it a non-smoking campus is totally up to you. The state of Maine is behind us 100%. So there is the Coalition for a Smoke-Free Maine, and we have all the placards that come right from the state. You have them sign a form that says it's for non-smoking property. And that means if you make it a non-smoking campus, it means the confines of that property. So they could walk out and walk down to the end of the driveway, which is still on the property, they can be evicted. Yeah. I mean, I like the non-smoking campus. I don't walk in, I don't see cigarette butts on the ground, it doesn't smell, and we don't run the risk of somebody hanging out the window because it's too darn cold to go outside or whatever, or they're in the basement or whatever. I mean, smokers are smoking. Yes.
I think think you'd have to go to new smoking campus where the Center Grove Seasons is a back of
Right.
campus.
Yeah, you don't want them walking next door to smoke.
Yeah, or walking down to the, waterfront.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when somebody would call the office and would inquire on this property, one of the 18 questions that we ask them up front is, are there any smokers in your party? If they say yes, then we don't even show it. Because we don't want to run the risk that, one person's gonna be like, hey, it's 15 below zero, I really don't want to go inside, so I'm just gonna sneak down the basement.
It's town property, we don't allow the other thing.
Wait, we should.
Out there.
Non-smoking campus, as long as the town is okay, then we put up they're just green signs, and tape them up there. They have an adhesive back, we won't do that, we put them on the doors, and it just says, this is a non-smoking property. Take a picture of that, then we have that documentation. If they breach the agreement by allowing somebody to smoke, and that could be a family member, or a friend, or a guest, or an IT, anybody that comes over. They are the ones that are responsible for that product. The other big thing that's come up now with the new cannabis laws is, I'm assuming the town is not gonna allow anyone to grow cannabis on the premises. Because they are allowed, well, legally, they're allowed 3 plants. And for a while, it was an unknown whether or not the courts would stand behind the owners because it's medicine. But no smoking is no smoking, no vaping is no vaping. So I say to people, like your medicine, go get some gummies or some chocolate. And nobody does, so that it's not.
Any other questions for Jane? Any other questions for us?
Think so, I think I pretty much got that. Now, are these the only 2 properties that the town has?
For rental.
Yeah. You don't want to.
Got to the point in the wallet, I want.
It can be difficult. So the way that rent collections for entities like the town, I'm not sure how it works here, but we collect the rents. We deduct our fee, and then we transfer those funds to whatever account. So you just have to give us an account so that we can transfer it. We use a website portal called Sync. Most people have heard of it. So we would develop an online portal. It's a private portal, and all of the reports get posted there, which are monthly reports that are generated every month. So everything is put there along with any there were invoices and whatnot. At the end of the year, we'll post a P&L there, and then we send 1099. So should be pretty easy to get anything that you need. And then I just need a point of contact, somebody that would be my go-to in case of, I need some answers.
Your town manager.
That's you.
Lauren D. Nichols.
Okay, so I'd just be calling you. So are you up at 2 o'clock or?
Actually, she is. She may be calling you at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, really.
And just so you know, the town takes care of the yearly fire extinguishers.
Okay. Yeah, so that's one thing that we'll test when we go over, we'll test them, and then we have the disclosure for that, the smoking gardens, making sure that obviously they're all gonna be in place, operational. You put them in the bedrooms also?
Fire extinguishers.
Oh, fire extinguishers, okay, yes.
So I have a question for Corey with the new discoveries over there. When do you think it'll be ready?
I'm not quite sure about that because we're gonna have to discuss what the next step is. I have no idea what the procedure is at this moment to remove black mold. So I don't know what the deal is with that.
Yeah, and how is that because of the sump pump backing up in the basement?
The roof.
No, this is on the first floor and behind the bathroom, and I'm thinking it's pre-roof replacement that finally crept into view up over a piece of molding, and at that point, we pulled the molding off and one of the pieces of paneling, and it is absolutely black.
It's where I found the leak almost a year ago. Coming down through the vent pipe area from on the roof.
Right.
So I think it's probably, I haven't seen it yet. I'm assuming it developed and spread out from there. But to get rid of black mold, you're gonna have to have a professional come, some like advanced one or.
Have you identified that it's true black mold?
I haven't seen it yet, so.
I would be suspect, only because
Uh,
true black is only like 0.04% of the time. And mold and mildew both present themselves in a darker color, especially when they're wet. Maine is not usually a state that has that, so it might just be needing mold remediation. You take away the black part of it, because people get really scared when we call it that. I would say advanced one,
Yeah, so I recommend.
yeah.
Yep, I've dealt with them before doing mold.
Or what, Surf Pro's the other one?
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we worked a lot with, advanced one, just, they're in and out, boom,
Yeah.
boom, but that definitely needs to be removed.
Has it
So at
spread
what
out of
time,
that room, Corey?
What's that, Carol?
Has it spread out of that room? Into any
Not
of the
that
other?
not that we can see, but I haven't gone up in the attic and see what's going on up there yet. And I know there's some in the basement just from that sheetrock that needs to be finished taken out. But when we remove the sheetrock, the rest of it, I mean, that'll be nothing but concrete anyway. So there won't be nothing for it to really grow on there. That can be cleaned.
so Kathy, how long do you estimate it will take you to find a tenant once the building is ready to be shown?
Right now, we listed a property and we had it rented in 10 days. The market is extremely active. There are way more people looking for properties than there are available units. There's a lot of influx of people coming into Maine post-COVID. People got out of the bigger cities and are kind of migrating to the smaller communities. There are also a lot of people are offered the opportunity to telecommute. So they don't even have to leave their house, they can do their jobs. So I would say less than 30 days at this point.
But everything has to be show ready.
We gotta be ready to, yeah. Once we get it up online, usually within the first 5 or 10 minutes, we'll start getting some inquiries. Based on those inquiries, will let us know as far as the market, where we are price range. And if it's too high, we'll know, just because inquiries will be very low. But I mean, right now, we're pinpointing on those prices, and I mean, people are just desperate to find quality housing. And they don't want to be, if they can get away with not being a multifamily, that's where they'd rather be. And I can't blame them.
And so how do we determine an appropriate rent?
Well, we'll look at it again once it's all up and running. I'll go over and take a look, but I believe it's a 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
So 2-bedroom, 1-bath homes right now are renting somewhere between, and this is just without, well, we talked about heat and everything. So they're renting somewhere between 13 and 15. We probably would put a price tag on it if you're going to include heat and mowing and plowing. I would probably put a price on it of 18. And see where that falls in the market. I would be hesitant to go any higher than that. It's not that the properties aren't worthy of that price. It's just, your rental pool is going to be small enough.
Yeah.
So if we really want to be aggressive in finding someone. It's too bad it's not ready now, because this is the time when Colby College incoming faculty and staff, if they're not being housed at Colby, this is the time that they're moving.
Right.
We have a gentleman who just came into town and he's been, renting, looking for properties to rent, and his top end is 2,500. So I'm like, wow, okay, I can find you something for sure.
I think 800 with lake access is probably 100.
first. Yeah, I think it's fair.
Yeah. You're gonna include heat, you're gonna include plowing, you're gonna include mowing, you're gonna include, being able to utilize the waterfront for sure.
Yeah.
And I think at 18, if that meets what the town needs to get out of it, I think it makes sense.
Because we did 18 minus 110, so.
Right.
I don't know what you were getting before, but if that works, depending, I know it's depending upon the price of oil too.
Right.
But you must get a discount.
We get a long-term price, and they usually treat us very fairly.
Yeah.
Interesting to see that change with the changing.
Yeah, you're gonna see it, when you new contract, you're gonna see a big difference.
It's dead river bottom, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the future will really dictate that, right? I mean, regardless of motion of ownership, you have to forecast their next year's purchase.
Problem is that big company, their oil is always elevated more than the smaller companies. I don't know why, I can't answer that question why, but it seems to be that.
With that smaller company, we had somebody who treated us real well.
Yeah.
A particular person that
I mean,
may not have that leeway.
we have, there's another company that, if that doesn't come back, there's another company that I work with, the town has worked with in the past, that would treat us, I'm sure this as well.
Put it back out to bid.
Yeah, so I'm ready to make a motion that we hire Spectrum Property Management or contract with Spectrum Property Management for the management of 8 and 10 Dalton's. Excellent, Dalton Road.
Second.
Once it's ready.
Hmm?
Once it's ready.
Once
Yeah,
it's ready, once it's ready.
This one would be contracted just for $10. Because the Dalton's not ready yet.
We can do
Guess we
it.
can start off if they want to take that one over and start with that while we're getting the other one ready. That's
Okay,
fine.
all right.
So we would, the way that we would work that is we would schedule a time to meet with the new tenant, with the tenant that's in there. Establish a rapport with him, have a walkthrough, identify any problems that he, maybe bringing on himself. And doing at that property, and get that under control. And then wait for,
I'd also ask if they have any concerns of the property.
yeah,
You know, they've been living here, so they may be seeing things that we're not seeing till we remove sheetrock
sure.
and longer.
So it's part of it, it's just, do you have any leaky pipes? Is there anything going on with your electric? Is everything okay? Is anything parking, sparking, whatever? And just trying to kind of walk through the house and make sure that everything is safe.
Well, and we probably need to make sure that we are priced appropriately on that property too.
I
'cause
think
we
you're
have a-
below market on
I
that
think
one.
we are.
So what we do in those cases is we incrementally raise it. Instead of trying to, if somebody's $200 under, it's really to go up to somebody and say, okay, I know you're paying 7, but you're gonna pay 9 next month. I think that's a little tough. So what we do is we do like $50, give it a month, $50, you know what I mean? That way,
Right.
they have an opportunity to adjust their finances. And it makes it easier for them. And if he can't pay the extra amount, then, I don't know what to tell you, I mean, the market is what the market is, and you need to be getting a regular rent and something at market. I think they said it was only at 7.
I think it's $9.50.
Yeah, okay, so it's probably about $100 under where we should be,
Yeah.
but I haven't gone up there yet, so.
Okay,
So we'll look at it and get back.
yeah, yeah.
Well, and make sure that you're aware of what that we have, so when I first started renting that, you have access to the garage
$50
bay,
a-
that then took away.
Yeah, that's bad.
And so the property that he was holding in the garage bay had to go somewhere. So we could have created some of the situation with the tenant. And I would hate to see us force them out if it's not a dangerous situation. And if the property, the stuff they have there is because we made them remove it from the space that originally we told them they had access to.
Right,
So we have changed the rates, we've changed their lease, we've taken away provisions, and nothing has ever been documented in the new lease.
okay, so that's the problem.
So I would tread lightly, and I don't want to force someone out of their home. If they've
Agreed.
not been a bad tenant.
Agreed.
Corey, this is.
Corey,
He has rented a storage unit in Smithfield and he has cleaned out considerable amount. And he told me that he is willing to just continue to move stuff to his storage unit as he can get it over there. So a walkthrough is not going to be a terrible thing because he already knows that we've discussed it and him and I have both discussed it. So he's more than willing to work with us.
Excellent. So that makes our job that much easier.
Okay,
If he's willing to understand, we're not gonna go in there heavy-handed. I never do. I always read the room, gauge the audience. So if he is amicable, then we will work with him on whatever. There are some people that are just difficult, and those are the people that we just have to go in and say, that's the rules are the rules, don't like it, as a do. But it doesn't sound like this is the kind of guy that we want to do that with, so we'll gauge everything based on his demeanor.
okay. All right, so since my motion wasn't seconded,
I seconded it.
oh, you did, oh, sorry, okay, I'm going to amend my motion so that we contract with Spectrum Management for the property at 10 Dalton Street at this time.
I second the amendment.
Okay, so the motion now reads that I move that we
Well, we vote on the
vote
amendment.
on the amendment. Okay, sorry. Okay, all in favor of the amendment? Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Yes.
Carol? Dan?
Yes.
Okay, 5 yeses in favor of the amendment. So now the amended motion is to approve the contract with Spectrum Management for 10 Dalton Street.
So I will get that information to Lorna. I will get her the contract and also a draft of the agreement with the tenants so that you can review it and see all the pieces of it. I will also include the disclosures so that you have a full packet of what we require. It's about, I think it's like 32 pages. So we just, you know, in doing this for 20-ish years, we won't get into the time frame. You just, you know, you start adding more things in. I mean, my lease started out at 1.5 pages and I think it's 7 now, so.
Yeah. Okay, let us finish our vote. Carol, and I mean, do I have a second?
I second, yeah.
Okay, so all in favor of vote for $10. Peter?
Yes.
No, yes.
Yes.
Carol? Dan?
Yes.
Okay. All right,
Excellent.
thank you, Jane.
You're
And I
very
just- And I
welcome.
just want to say, I have experience with Spectrum. I worked very closely with the Menezero family on Layton Street in Waterville,
yeah.
and they're all doing great.
Yes, yes. They were awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, are they still at the Apple? No.
no. I'll tell you later.
Beautiful.
They're all doing great.
Excellent. That was very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to banking proposals. I move that we open discussion on banking proposals. Okay. And what I would suggest we do is to take more time to look these proposals over. Since they are quite lengthy.
Yes.
And if there are, each one is what, about 100 pages?
There's several pages. Some are kind of thin, but others are voluminous. But they're all posted on our website now. I had somebody contact me today about that. So I just went ahead and uploaded all of those documents, so they're available for anyone to view.
Okay,
The public.
and how many are there in total?
Oh, goodness. There's probably 15.
There are a lot of documents out there,
There's probably 15 files. There might be a few more than that.
and a couple of the files
Several.
are like introductions to the proposal sort of stuff,
Yeah,
so.
and so if there are, as we look through these, if there are pages that might be helpful to compare, we could let you know
Oh
if
my
we want
goodness,
to have
yeah.
certain pages.
Absolutely.
printed out.
And I do have at least one hard copy of everything here in the office.
Oh, okay.
So if you wanted to take a look at it, I tried to print a copy as they came in and I date and time stamped them.
Okay, and what is the time frame by which we're trying to make a decision?
There's no emergency on the part of the town to make any change to banking and or investment services, so it is absolutely up to the board when you're ready and feel comfortable that you've reviewed these and
Okay. Chris?
Maybe just a suggestion to you guys, I know how it works on other proposals. Maybe Lorna and Nick give you guys their top 5 picks.
and Mary. Yeah,
And then
Nick
you
and
guys
Mary
can
and I
read it
have
out
all
from there,
chatted about some of them.
or maybe
so.
even get the budget committee involved in it. Where it is, it is part of our budget, so.
So do we want to table this discussion to August 1st or 15th? That's the pleasure. August 15th, give us a month.
15th works better for me.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, we bring it.
Yeah, and I do like the idea of having you and Nick and Mary give us your topics.
Some of these folks we've had an opportunity to speak with, so.
I mean, I lean more towards people that use the banking every day rather than people looking at it.
Right.
It's not gonna mean as much to me as it's gonna mean people have.
Right.
to deal
Right.
with it day out.
I read through a lot of them and was surprised at how different people would respond relative to things that were lined out in the RFP. So that the proposals weren't shaped the same way. If they had been, it would have been a lot more easy for me to compare. I could have page of one, page of another, but I didn't find it at all. So yes,
Okay,
August 15th. So we need a motion probably
we need a motion.
Motion to table it. So,
until the 15th of August.
Yeah,
I second that motion.
okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Joe?
yes.
No? Yes.
You bet.
Okay, all in favor. That was for banking proposals. We should make another motion for investment proposals.
So moved.
Okay,
And second.
second, all right. Dan?
Yeah.
Joe?
Yes.
No? Yes. Peter?
Yes.
Okay, 5 in favor of tabling investment proposals until August 15th. And look forward to the recommendations of the staff. All right, next is ARPA funds. I move we open the discussion on American Rescue Plan funds. And I think Lauren, do you want to talk about this?
Yes. So, the town, we received $332,777 into date. You have approved, allocating $162,250. That leaves us an available balance of $175,27. On the next page in your packet, it shows you the beginning balance, those projects that you've already approved. And then there are some additional items on the list that have been carried over for several months. In addition, we have added options for a facilities vehicle, supporting the pickleball court, parking lot, Center for All Seasons roof repairs, and for facilities, or cemeteries, a lawnmower. And
Can we also add to the list 3 dry fire hydrants for the fire department?
We talked about that last meeting.
Right. I'd rather we use it for something like that than things like another facilities vehicle. Or things like that, things that are wants, not needs. If we have some needs, those would be my top priorities for using ARPA funds.
Another thing that's recently come to my attention is ADA accessibility at the Center for All Seasons. That the area between the building and the lake is very difficult for anyone to navigate in a wheelchair or any other type of mobility aid. So that's just something that. And again, I don't know if there are other funding sources that would be available for that or for any of these. But I think that, and I'm certainly not expecting that we're gonna make a decision on these tonight, but I think that, you know, we do need to look at them and start to come up with some pricing for these things. And I had a question, drive-through town office underground, what does that mean?
So that was Ricky wanted for the town office to investigate the possibility of a drive-through.
That would be underground, like in a
Yeah.
tunnel?
So the thought on the underground was not having to tear up the pavement and all of that, much like a bank underground.
Yeah, the tube system.
Oh, the tube would be underground. I was thinking. A tunnel, like vehicles that go under the tunnel.
No. So essentially it would be like a tube system, it would be under the ground. come into the town office, They would put your stuff back in, that would mean that we didn't have to totally revamp the parking area because you could have
Nice.
a drive-through entrance and exit that goes right around.
The only way you'd be able to do it that way is you'd have to put an addition on the building, because you can't go up any slab. But that's.
So would you have to put an addition on, so I guess just in picturing it in my mind, I thought, well, Rob might lose his office. If that were the access point, but then if the tube system were outside of that.
Right, as long as you're outside this slab, you're fine. The slab of this building now has rating and water line.
But if we're moving more and more to people doing it online,
Right.
do we really need to have a drive-through system? If more and more people are doing their business online.
We can say eventually we just close the town office, but a lot of people are doing it in person. That's part of the charm of the town office. You know, I just talked to a woman today who's been coming here for 25 years. She said the first thing I do is stop at the town office. You know. So I was like, okay, it's a meeting spot like the transfer station.
Yeah,
Those tube systems don't always go underground, right? Sometimes they.
Sometimes they go up overhead.
If they go up overhead, then I think you'd be looking at coming in to the building someplace above grade.
Yep.
So that might be just too ugly.
Yeah.
But then you don't have to worry about radius.
okay, well, we need to get some pricing on it and see. So I know that the pickleball people are interested, and the parking lot people are interested, and the Center for All Seasons roof repairs are important.
I think we can probably take off the sand salt shed relocation, because we don't want to move that to another spot and contaminate that as well.
Right, and we can take off the Rockwood Drive broadband.
Yeah,
Because we did discuss that.
right.
Now, new fire station. With their reserve fund?
We can't put it into reserve, we have to spend it.
No, I'm
Oh.
just saying, no, with their reserve fund,
Right.
if ARPA funds could go to the building
Or the engineering.
for the engineering, for any of that, any of the construction. So, I mean, we should still keep that on. And what about the water system, costs associated with the public water system? Is there anything that we would have to pay for if the state is doing the entire construction?
It's what, the 32,000 a year they anticipated? Plus, that was, have we heard, speaking of which, have we heard anything from them?
Nothing yet, nothing from
So
board
we-
designs yet.
February,
I think the water system gonna take off here, because I don't think you're gonna have it built by the time we have to spend these monies.
Right.
Right.
So right now, I'd say pull it off.
It's a good point, Dan.
Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah.
Bruce, is that what you were gonna say?
That, and plus I was gonna say that the other expenses that DOT will split 50-50, I believe that's still in the contract, is a lot of stuff is gonna have to be replaced when the new system goes in. I mean, I contacted Lana yesterday on when I had to go to today. And then the pump is next, so on that property, so.
Mhm. Okay, so we can keep public lakes access on. I know that's kind of a wild shot because of the timing. It could take us much longer to come up with any suitable property even to consider. But I still think, since it's been in the comprehensive plan, the last 2 times, I think that we still need to keep it. Yes.
Something on that part of it, maybe when it comes to budgeting, and if you start just a small capital reserve for that. It'd be, it's been in the comprehensive plan now for 10 years and,
It was in, and I think it was in the.
Yeah, I
previous
think it was in the
plan.
previous
I think it's been in
one
for
before
20
that.
years.
I think if you start, just start a small capital reserve showing that, you're looking towards it and maybe somebody eventually is gonna come up and.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, and people may eventually say, oh, they
Oh, no,
haven't
no, no,
realized
no,
it was
no,
out
no,
there,
no,
so.
Yeah, no,
If
no.
every year
No, I
we have
understand.
to vote on it,
No, I understand that. I understand. Okay,
The parking lot. That we are asking us to try to do 10% of what they. Not crazy about it, but I'd be willing. To commit $15,000 towards it with the thing, seeing if we can get that $15,000 for parking improvements, state. That says on here that the state has. Because that
But the
would
problem
get,
is if we haven't expended it on the project, so if they don't have a spot purchased and a parking lot done. By the time that money is gone, we can't leave the money in limbo.
Right.
hoping
and
that
when
they
does that have to be spent by?
by 20, at the end of 26.
Yeah.
So it has to be committed by the end of 24.
Right.
Which
I,
is a year and a half.
Yeah, I would think the parking lot would be.
the parking lot, we should have an answer on within 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay,
We're very close.
So I table
I mean, that would be a possibility, like I said, I'd be willing to go to 15,000 if. Because it says right here that the state has a program to match funds for water access and parking improvements. So maybe we can. If we did that, we could get the state to kick in $15,000 with it. Of a matching fund.
and get documentation on a state program, because some of them they put out and then take back. Let's get a hint.
oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Jamie,
Uh,
can you introduce yourself, please?
oh, yeah, so, Jamie Dion, I'm on board of Parks and Rec. And, I've been working with the pickleball group to more or less, steer the project in the right direction. We should have answers and proposals for the group next week. Corey's done a lot of work today. And the initial kind of estimates we're looking at costs are promising, a lot less than we thought. Because we had looked, the initial, I think, cost we're looking at was 150,000, we heard China was paying 450,000. I think the 150 is probably a little more accurate, and that's even on the high end. So I think the paving, Corey, I think was around 19,000 for the paving, the groundwork, or, I mean, we're just getting general estimates, we're not violating any RFP pieces, but, that was a lot less than what we thought, so, I think conservatively, we probably around 100,000 for the entire project. And we're working with the fundraising group at the first fundraiser, so we hope to have a goal and some sort of proposal and an application to the board, probably next week.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah, great.
Encouraging.
What are you looking at for a timeline to complete this job?
Hopefully on the quick end, have groundwork done before the winter, let it settle and pave in the spring. But that all depends on the fundraising plan and how that group, how aggressive they want. So, yeah, I think definitely by the end of next year would be the long,
I think that property, there are still 2 separate deeds.
For the center?
Really?
So we, at some point, we should have Phil combine those.
a few things changed on the plan that was proposed. Minor things, I mean, the original plan had it, basically, the plane would be perpendicular to the road. All the recommendations for any tennis court or pickleball courts are to play, the play is north to south, so that way it's not on your eyes when you're playing. So it's shifted to be parallel, the play would be parallel to the road, and would take up the spot where that small basketball court is and go. Pad would be 105 by 60. Corey and I measured it today. We spoken with law enforcement and the fourth phase there now on the ground and kind of in a proposed area. So if anybody wants to.
And what, how we're replacing the basketball court or something?
The pickleball courts will be a multi-use court, that's the plan, so it would be, there'd be a basketball court within it, and then the possibility of an ice rink in with it. So it'd be, be a good size ice rink, 105 by 60.
That's the one that was there.
Yeah, it was,
That's pretty bad.
yeah, this would actually be a decent size, be 105 by 60, so I mean, yeah, it's the initial kind of talk we've had with a few people are promising as far as it's not gonna be 450,000 like China. And when Corey looked at the paving, we had talked about a 50-foot walkway, but when we staked it out, it's really gonna be like a 5-foot walkway. It basically abuts that turnaround.
And so it would be 3 pickleball courts?
3 pickleball courts, so I modeled it after the ones in Oakland, I measured them out, and they have 6 courts. This would be exactly half of what they have, because they have 3 wide, 3 by 2 courts. And I looked at all their fencing, so that's the next thing we need to find is pricing on fencing. David Stevens is gonna go look at the site and kind of give us a general with, I mean, there's no promise for award or anything, we're just kind of looking to build a general budget for the project. So he's gonna go take a look at it, and he just built one for Camp Loaded, so he's very familiar with the pickleball setup.
The fencing, chain link fencing, solid fencing.
Chain, the recommendation is a coated chain link fence 10 feet high.
Okay. Now, what are we gonna do about the rental property that you're putting this right over against
That's
now?
what I
All the
was just
complaints people are
thinking.
getting about the sound of people playing pickleball.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, right now, there's a small row of trees and we gave a good sized buffer. And I don't know, we want
That's
to.
just, that's just something we're gonna have to take into consideration too, because.
Should plant trees or shrubs
Yeah.
as a sound barrier.
Oh,
It
yeah.
looks like,
That says no pickleball after 9 p.m.
Right, and we had that discussion with Dan today, is no lights, we would not want lights because we don't want people in there 11 o'clock.
You're still gonna have to have lights. You're gonna have an ice rink, you're gonna have to have lights.
Right.
Yeah, because in the winter, guess what time it gets dark?
Yeah,
3 o'clock,
good point,
yeah.
good point, yeah, do, So,
What
it
about
does seem
motion-
like soon.
yeah.
like motion activated lights?
So I'm assuming this was a concern when they built the basketball court, because there is a row of trees at the basketball court, assuming that's why they planted those trees there.
No, well, it's because it was private property. Those were not rental properties at the time.
Okay.
So that was a conception.
Yeah, no, we can look at planting trees and build that into the plan too, that's,
Yeah, because but they still will have to have some kind of lighting. Just because
Oh, yeah.
if you're gonna use ice skating rinks, you're gonna have to have lighting in the winter. Even if something can only be turned on in the winter at a certain time or something, but it's gonna have to have some kind
3 to
of,
9
some kind of light.
at a time.
okay, we'll look at that.
And basically, if it were me, I would position them on the side of where the house is, facing the center for all seasons. That way it's not
Blinded.
heading over that way.
That's a great idea. Okay. So yeah, fencing, we're looking into the nets themselves, open, really bought some good quality nets and the name of the company that installed them is right on them, so we call them and get pricing on equipment. So like I said, I should have a proposal with the general estimate budget by next week. And we're meeting with the pickleball group on Tuesday or Monday, I have to look at my calendar. Meeting with them again. I want all of this solidified so that the first fundraiser is the next Saturday, well, the 29th. 29th. So I don't want them going into a fundraiser without a general idea of the costs and a goal in mind. Because people are gonna be donating to this, we really should have that. So I've steered that committee that way. I think we got a lot of resolve in the last couple of days. So the fundraiser is a movie showing, Deep Coach was in a movie that was filmed in Belgrade. And the distributor for the movie has authorized us to play the movie. Actually, let me use my toys, I got a 20-foot inflatable screen I'm gonna set up in Center for All Seasons. And the director of the movie is coming up from Boston to do a piece and a Q&A and a few of the actors.
And they're also having,
Is that,
What time does it start again?
7.
7, I believe, yeah.
7.
Yes, it is 7 because
An hour.
it ends at 5 and we have like an hour and a half to set up.
But isn't it an hour for silent auction and then the movie
Yeah.
starts the film starts at 8?
Yeah, and then before the film, I believe they're gonna do the Q&A with the director. We're gonna have a stage set up and, yeah, I guess most of the film was shot in Belgrade and, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I do have it, downloaded and ready to go for next week, but it should be interesting. I haven't seen any advertising, but I guess they.
I was just gonna
There
say.
is some on Facebook.
There is.
There is posters in the lakes.
Because we should get it up on the Facebook, on our website.
I haven't seen anything.
I know they reached out to the news outlets this week, because I did ask that last night, I said, what have you done for advertising, so
I'll
they,
make a note to get a hold of Dan.
yeah.
Yeah, because there's posters at the dairy bar.
And I would have Dan send a flyer home with every single camp kid.
Yep.
Because if there's 100 kids, that's the best way to get notification into the households.
Yeah, it's a good idea. And, direct marketing is always the best.
I think D Cook is sort of
Yeah.
heading up the publicity.
Yeah.
She is, and they even done up a playbill for it with advertisements, and then they're selling advertisements as part of the fundraising.
Jamie, can you have Dee get me what she has so we can get it up on the Neighbors Helping Neighbors page for Belgrade as well?
Yep.
And we can put it, pop it to the top, so this is the first thing that people see.
I'll send that to the group tonight.
And she's welcome, she wants to reach out. I think she's a member of Neighbors Helping Neighbors, the name's not popping up for that, but if she isn't, she can find me on Facebook or she can hit me up on the town thing. That's something I can grab and post
Okay.
would be best.
And I think Dan's getting something ready for the recreation page, Belgrade recreation page. I was just gonna send it to the Belgrade community Facebook page. Neighbors Helping Neighbors would be a good spot.
There's also Belgrade Lakes communities on there as well, Spirit of Belgrade, I think.
Yeah, there are a lot of them.
Yeah, and, I mean, we can even
We're not
share
at our
it, kind of
town
working
leaders,
page.
there's one of those.
Yeah, social media seems to be the best way to get the news out, so, the group is very, very, very motivated, so it was they really want this and they're willing to do the work for us. It's good that we have them motivated for that.
Well, and it just popped in my head, I wonder if they should try doing something with the morning radio shows.
Oh.
Like 92 Lewis or 98.5, who usually, sometimes they'll do interviews, 107.5, I think there's a lot of local stuff, but there's another way they can get the word out, because I'd hate to have 10 people show up.
Yeah, they sent it to, is it Samantha York at WCSH6, because she does like a community bulletin, what's happening. No, they sent it to her, they sent it to the newspapers, they sent it to the CBS station, and the one that's got an office in Waterville. Can't remember which one it was, but they sent it to them. So, I think we need to get it on social media, it's coming out. I love the radio station idea. Well, I used to work for Bureau of Highway Safety as a road Peter, and radio was always the most effective route to get the word out.
Because people are listening on their way to work. And, yeah.
It was more effective than TV and everything else. It is amazing the numbers that we got. So,
Okay, thanks, Jenny.
thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, that's all.
Okay. So the other question I had on our list is about Wi-Fi hotspots. Is that something that we're still looking into?
Well, I think, were we contacting the broadband committee for the state to see what they can do?
The state is coming out with a grant program for projects.
Right, there is already a grant program, there's $42 million, that's.
Yep, they're unveiling it early August.
Right,
I
they
just got
have-
an email.
They have requested that they could go to the towns. They wanted to come to each individual town to talk about what they could do specifically for their town with this broadband, because there's local and then there's statewide. But we may not need Wi-Fi hotspots and.
Wi-Fi hotspots get expensive.
And we have Wi-Fi at the library. And at North Belgrade, they can be accessed
And the
outside
Center Cross is-
and the center. And can this be accessed outside of the building?
I would assume if they have the password, you could.
Yes,
Within a
this one is
certain
pat- this one is
distance.
pat- This one is password.
This one?
Season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a
Then about
separate.
the library. Oh, it's the library? I don't know, I've been, maybe the library is password too, but I've been using.
I bet
it.
that's
They all-
free.
They all
The
have.
You need a
library,
password when you came to
because they get
meetings
it from the
at the
state.
library.
Yeah.
I don't think,
No,
I don't think so. I don't think the library is,
All of them would be limited by distance, though.
oh, I know, I realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give
You
you,
got it?
I'm gonna give you the link.
Okay.
So.
Melanie had sent it
Do you want
to,
to text it?
some select board meetings from her car outside the library.
Activity.org. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess what I would say is that we ask Lorna, and the staff to start looking into some of these potential costs. Such as the drive up, drive through. And I know that Corey's trying to get, pricing on the Center for All Seasons.
That one seems to me to be pretty critical that we figure out what it's gonna cost at the Center for All Seasons before we allocate.
The masonry, Corey, we had an idea on the cost of that. And that's being done the end of this month.
And do we have money in the budget for that?
That will be covered under that $75,000 we put
Or
for repairs. I just got the email from Ryan about 10 minutes ago. And the masonry, to include the rental of 65-foot lift, is going to be around, oh man, 8,100, I think, to
Okay.
repoint the chimneys.
Less than 15. Those are terrific.
What's that?
I said, my thought was, please tell me it's less than 15, because at 15 we have to go down.
Oh, I know. I was so hoping. So that is only portion of the chimney repairs. And then the roofers said they need to come in and change the panels around the roof chimney and fix the flashing, which is attached to the roofing. So it's a whole big process, and I can understand with what they're going through, why we had such leaks around those chimneys, because it's quite a process.
So I thought, Corey, before ADL came in, that the flashing, that roof repair was gonna be done before they came in, because they weren't gonna roof over that. So was it not repaired? So then that brand new roof went on?
I really don't know. I mean, this is the metal standing seam that we put in, that the town put on, what, 12 years ago, 15 years ago? What's that, Dan?
Yes, this is stuff that Fowler did.
Yeah, that's
Originally.
Fowler did that, originally did the roof. And Fowler is the one that's gonna do the repairs, which they came to give me a price, but their mason won't even answer them. So we're kind of trying to piecemeal it together to get it fixed, because their mason doesn't want anything to do with it.
That's encouraging.
Yeah, really.
But basically, these repairs are covered. We've got money to cover those.
Yes, we do. And this is the logical place to start, because if we don't fix the chimney to stop the leaks around it, there's no sense in us doing the insulation. So
Right.
we've got to stop at the top, start at the top and work our way down.
Right, so will this, but we don't know yet whether the $75,000 will cover all of these repairs.
Oh, I know they won't cover all these repairs.
because the installation is what amount? Isn't that
Well,
right up there?
Yeah, according to Ben at AB or whatever is there, the engineer that looked, he says 75 is going to be a pretty close estimate on just what we're going to need for insulation. To take everything out that's been wet and damaged, clean that area, and then put new insulation in that area, and then put insulation in areas that are inadequate, which are causing the icing problem, which in turn is having great big chunks of ice fall down on the lower section of the roof, which has broke those trusses over the boiler room and several times broken the trusses on the porch. So it's one big circle that we've got to start at the top and work our way around it.
Okay, well, instead of sitting here tonight and looking at these categories, can we get some firm numbers on everything?
Yep,
Yeah,
And I think that's what Barbara's striving for, trying to ask that.
right.
Then we should probably, once we get numbers, look at need versus wants.
right,
And line up if we need to.
absolutely. Yeah,
The line here on the fire station, Bruce, you had Dan, or somebody to get an estimate on the engineering. If we could see what money's left over, I can see what that.
Program rate was like around 150, I think, for the center.
Yeah, so I mean, if we, I don't know what's gonna be, money that's gonna be left over, but we need firm numbers or
Yeah.
something that's gonna be
Yeah,
fairly
yeah,
close.
We haven't done
Right.
on beach.
And I know Corey's been trying to get
Yeah.
that roofing estimate for.
Yeah.
Just,
Yes,
And Bruce, could you pull together essentially what we did in other properties and what it would cost for a pump, a dishwasher, washing machine, refrigerator, so that we've got it. When we have to start replacing that stuff, what we would be looking at, it's gonna be the property.
we ought to be able to pull that right up in Trio. I would think.
Yeah, I mean, I know like the golf properties, we just use the pump that was be on the campground.
But
Okay.
it's not necessarily firm, but just a general idea because.
okay, so why don't we look at this again?
Yeah, because I think some
Yeah.
of these things are just gonna go away. I don't think we're gonna have enough money for a truck.
We have $170,000.
You're not gonna have enough
See, it's
money
gonna,
to be
it's
able
gonna
to
go.
drive,
Gonna go
drive through the town
It's gonna go.
office. I think those are all nice things to have, but I don't think we're gonna.
right.
I wouldn't spend the time looking at the cost of the drive through the town office. I don't think.
But I promised Ricky I would bring it forward when I talked to him in the hospital, and he said, no, we do not forget about the.
Hold on, and I think it's a good idea, but I don't think it's gonna, I don't think it's one of the apples.
Right,
I think it's a good thing to do, to talk about doing that at some point, but I don't think it's gonna come out.
But I think we came up with it during COVID because some stuff people still had to come to the town office for. Was there a way that we could help to protect the staff and the patrons?
Right,
right.
you're probably right. Okay, so shall we re-examine this in 15th of August or wait till September?
Oh, let's give it a month and see if we get the
See
numbers.
if we
If we
get
don't
the-
have the numbers, then we can just not put it on the agenda.
Yeah.
I know
Till September.
the dry hydrant, I think Dan plans on having some numbers back to you, probably the next board meeting.
Yeah, because when we look at the differences, but I'm like, if we need three. And if we can do 3 for 33, or if that's gonna do it, then.
I thought that was a really good price, that 11 something.
And that's why I did to make sure what the difference was, and if that was gonna take care of it, I'm like, well, not, we're all okay.
Yep.
And get it done.
Yeah. That was a good price.
Okay. Okay, moving right along. We don't have any appointments or resignations this meeting. And John Perkins of Tech is not able to be here tonight, so we'll reschedule him. So I'm going to open discussion on the street light at the corner, proposed street light at the corner of Manchester Road and Hughes Mills Road.
And did anyone let the property owners who the street light would be at the end of their driveway? No, this is on the agenda.
I believe if you read that email from the Connecticut County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, I did see.
They've been dealing with quite a-
To the neighbors.
Yeah,
But this would be, yeah, and I know, I mean, I've heard about this from the owners themselves. That's why I wondered if they've been noticed that this was going to be brought up tonight.
I assumed that Kennebec Sheriff's Office mentioned it to them because Kennebec County reached out to us. And if you see, they've been dealing with a lot of activity there. And so they're trying to make it safer.
Right,
I'm not gonna deny the like, this and that, but why can't law enforcement do something about the illegal stuff going on there? You know, I mean, I was involved in the thing of it, and all of us that was involved in that. What bothers all of us the most about that tragedy is the law enforcement don't do anything, and still don't do it.
So what actually happened there?
It was a fatal accident, teenager. And we had 50 teenagers there when we was working at the. That's-
I mean, now is they're using it like a memorial.
And then-
They're going. And all hours, partying.
Sitting in the middle of the road,
and
squealing tires, drinking,
Smoking.
yep, and they're all underage.
I have a problem with these memorials that have been offered up to the state anyway. Because I've seen them on, stuck on people's front lawn.
That's what this is.
Oh, this is, yeah.
They did it in the middle of the night, never even asked the landowner's permission. Came in the middle of the night, dug a hole across and put concrete in and left.
And when they try to exit their driveway, they actually have to tuck out past that to see to the left.
Do we have any crash numbers in that intersection? Is that high pressure? I know it's dark. I live on that corner, near that corner.
No,
It's really dark.
it's not that, I mean, we've had. Probably it's my career on the farm, we've probably had a dozen now.
And Kennebec SO just simply said the intersection has been a source of multiple crashes. To include the fatal last winter. But there's a lot of people doing burnouts, walking around on foot, drinking. Verbal altercations, a lot of that too. I mean, if somebody's doing burnouts, whomever sees it needs to get a license plate number and maybe a video or a picture, because
That's no good,
the police can't do anything about it if they can't get there quickly enough.
they're not doing anything with it, when they do get it.
So is
Jamie?
the street light, do we want to put it there for the purpose of this behavior or is it for crash?
Safety, all of it, all of
Because
it.
the state of Maine has a crash free website. You can go look at nodes and intersections within hotspots within towns.
right.
And I mean, that data is publicly available, but I agree. If it's a behavior issue that it's being put there for, it's different than it's for a crash.
Correct.
Yeah.
I really want to make sure we're focusing on solving the right problem, right?
Right.
Because we're hearing two associated problems. One is safety, darkness, whatever happens. And then there's the reaction that's the behavior associated with the death. So it is tragic and it is one of the many issues that have taken place there. So what problem do we want to solve, you know, with this?
And a homeowner could put lights
Yeah, absolutely.
on their property too.
I mean,
Well, he's already getting harassed by these
Right.
kids.
right, exactly.
He doesn't wanna, I wouldn't think he'd wanna threaten his own.
Everybody in that neighborhood is harassed, I mean, one person's already left, sold their property and left.
Yeah. Because of that behavior
Yeah.
that's being exhibited there at
Yeah.
that tragic site.
Right.
You know, it's a horrible thing to have that fatality. there,
Yeah,
no
I mean,
doubt.
that's,
But you don't want another fatality as a
Right.
result of what they're doing.
Right. That's why I'm not denying a light, and I'm not. What I'm denying, what I'm saying is unfortunately, law enforcement needs to step up and start enforcing and punishing these people for breaking the law. Not,
What can-
and I know it's not, and unfortunately, it's not the officers, they'll write a ticket, it goes to the court systems and it gets thrown out.
And so what can we as the town do?
I don't know, I guess I'm throwing it out to you guys.
Yeah, David, did you have some?
John.
John, sorry.
Well, my question is, I'm not sure what they're trying to solve with the light. If they think that the kids are going to be dissuaded by a light being there. They're probably wrong. It might actually encourage their gathering. Because now they have a light. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that the light is gonna do what they think it's gonna do.
Right,
Well,
My biggest thing is living there, the kids sitting in the middle of the road in the middle of the night. So the light will at least show the kids in the middle of the road,
For drivers.
but for oncoming traffic.
It is a dark intersection.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
it seems so there's a safety issue and there's a behavior issue. We have the ability to control the safety issue.
Right. I think
Behavior
it's
is-
not gonna stop the kids from being there. The only thing that's gonna stop the kids from being there is, like, to get back in.
But we would.
And
Okay, excuse me. Lorna and Dan, do you want to share with us?
To install. We were just talking
No, I
about the cost,
just asking our cost,
Like a-
what would cost us for a month of electricity.
and it's not much because we have gone to LED. In this instance, because CMP does not have a light there, it would be the town's responsibility to put a light in. And then it would be added to our monthly
Are
bill.
we talking $10,000, 20?
I have no idea. We have a name of someone who does lights and Corey, I know, reached out to them today. They probably have not responded. But I agree.
They
with
have
you.
res-
It's-
They haven't given me a price yet. They have responded. And asked a couple questions, so I answered those questions and I am still waiting for their reply.
now with the sheriff's department, are they recommending a light? Because if it's on a state road, why would it be the municipality's responsibility to install a light and maintain it?
We maintain other lights, like at the old church, I think there's one.
Old South Church up in the left on the Human Road.
Well, we had to replace the lights with LED all the way, what are there, 40 or 50 in town.
I mean, if we're trying to solve a crash related problem, there's grant funds
I
available,
was just
those
gonna
types of
say that.
things, through DOT and the Bureau of Highway Safety. Yeah, I think that would be easily attainable if we could put problem statement together, so many crashes, and this, is what we're looking to solve, DOT's got funds for that type of stuff, for engineering stuff.
And then we just have to absorb them on the cost.
So this isn't the sheriff's department that is requesting this. So I want to be sure that we're fair on that. This is not Kennebec County Sheriff's Office requesting it. What they did was they forwarded an email from a citizen requesting a street light.
No,
Who is Racine Wood?
he's from Kennebec SO. He's a sergeant.
Oh, okay.
Or a deputy. Because Toby Pond is a sergeant, he's the one who reached out to me and gave me this email from Racine.
Okay, I was thinking Racine was the,
A homeowner.
yeah.
And I could also just simply try, because I know Toby. I could simply reach out to Toby and say, Toby, the board discussed this last night and we would really like the sheriff's office to start patrolling that as much as they can, just to drive through. They're probably short on officers, all police departments are. And I don't know who they have that comes out this way. But we could start with that to try to get it more of a presence. That's not an unusual request. We pay county taxes, which funds the sheriff's office. So we're entitled to some of those patrols and work here in the town of Belgrade.
We've done it previously because it splits between the sheriff's department and the state police.
I don't know how much SP is doing anymore.
2 weeks, I think it's 6 weeks.
They're
AFL,
cutting a
2
lot of
week
that out.
SP.
But we've requested in the past, like, we had problems with folks going to the transfer station and their roads not covered and stuff all over the road. So we requested that they do some more drive-throughs.
And did they?
They did.
Okay, so that will work,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, the good news is we've got a sergeant with state police that lives right down the road. So you can just say, hey, when you leave you know, put in a request, can you pass by there when you go to
And
work?
he's worked quite harsh on that area,
That'd be best to reach
What's
out.
his name?
JP.
Yeah, dude, these two look hot. Used to work for SMPD.
So you know what the kids are doing is they're grieving. And they don't know how. And so they're not really appropriate in the way that they do that grieving. That's what it really boils down to. Eventually, they're gonna stop doing that. The important thing is, from what I gather, is that we don't have one to get run over.
Right.
Right,
Right.
and create more grief.
That's really, to me, that's the issue that I see, but it's not, some of the other stuff, the altercation, I don't know.
Those may be outcomes of their inability to grieve properly. You know,
Yeah.
another option might be to try to steer them to get help. Rather, get skilled, get help, get counseling. There might be ways to do that.
Yeah, you guys should have been there that night, because I can tell you, all of us, yes, it is grieving, but what took place that night should never happen.
Yeah.
The child being killed, the teenager dying and what took place there should have never ever happened. Never.
Don't disagree with you at all.
I mean, I've been in this fire service for almost 40 years, and I can tell you, this only has hit home, and I've done a lot of them in 40 years. There's only one reason, you got 50 kids standing around there, and they're screaming and beating on your vehicles. It's not a great thing, right? And you got law enforcement sitting there allowing it happen.
Okay, so shall we,
In the meantime, can we have Luana get a hold of the state and DOT or whoever, and see in public safety or somebody, and see what's available for grants and funding to pull in it. Let's find out what, we're gonna end up absorbing the cost, or we get reimbursed from the state.
Right.
And I don't have a problem putting a light up as long as the neighbors are gonna be okay with it.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
We should check with them.
I think it's the only intersection on Manchester Road that doesn't have a light.
Okay.
I think the Knowles Road, I think the Knowles Road has a light, I think the Barker Road has a light.
No, we'll take a look.
Yeah.
If it makes sense, I don't have a problem doing it, 'cause LED lights monthly, it's pennies to run them, so let's just find out what it's gonna cost us and. And we're gonna have to look and see placement to try to find, so that it's not gonna blind.
So, yeah, it's only one pole, and it's right straight off in the Wings Mills Road, right
Because the
beside.
memorial is right beside it.
Yes, yes, it is.
I mean, a couple feet away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you think,
So when they say there isn't a pole, there's a pole but no light.
correct.
Right,
Because I'm like, there's-
it's just a matter of having somebody come out, put up a light, a metering system. But they don't, they do, whatever, so. The cost, even the cost of installing it isn't gonna be $10,000.
Because the transformer is right there, to south, so.
okay, so Corey will continue to look into the poll. And
Yeah.
height to the light.
He'll hear back from
Sure.
the,
And Lorna will look into grant funds.
just the
Thank you. All right. We've open discussion on the Burgess property.
I would make a motion that we table this until we bring this forward to the DOT, and we should have that conversation together with them. Because it would be unfair of us to entertain something that they're only up for 50% if we ask them not to do the same.
Yeah, I'm in favor of tabling it, because I'm not really in favor of buying property, because then we're gonna start with one, and then we'd end up 2 or 3, and we need one where it's a threshold.
Right.
Half of them don't wanna sell it, and the rest of them aren't enough to do this water system.
Right. Okay.
It was brought to us, so.
Yeah.
I have to bring it.
It's, yeah, this property's been brought to, it's like 3 years now. with it
Right, but
this
at this
property.
point, Mrs. Burgess is no longer living in the property. She's in the facility, and they're looking to,
It's,
yeah. So
Okay, so do we want to,
I'd like to table it to them. first meeting in August and invite DOT, and in the meantime, forward this email to them. Because there's some sort of a time limit on how long they're offering it to us at this price, we need DOT to wait.
So I move that we table this. Are you making a motion?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Okay, table to August 1st and invite DOT to be part of the discussion.
Just one thing to throw up to you, that's the hardest property to get water to. Just so you guys know, that have to go across another property to get water to that property.
Interesting.
So just you guys know that.
So DOT should be involved in the discussion.
Yep.
Okay, all in favor? Do we have a set? Wait, do we have a second?
Peter
Peter
seconded.
seconded it. Okay,
Is it the center one here? What property is it?
You can see it right from here.
Right, every one of them has frontage on.
That one doesn't. Goes up that way, it's up there, those, yeah.
Is that what it is?
Seven siblings.
So.
Yes, I will.
I went to it.
Just like the-
Have we voted? We haven't.
no, we have.
That's contiguous, that piece of property is part of that one right there. So that's showing that.
Yeah, so there's a driveway, so you know. it will-
Okay, can we vote on tabling?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, all in favor of tabling?
Darn right, yep.
Okay, Melanie?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay, 5 in favor of tabling.
so I'm saying with this tax map, that property is in separate property. That property is part of that property.
Yeah, it's a driveway right beside the garage.
Map
Okay.
7,
Yes.
map 7, I can't read the.
I can't really do. I go for management.
Look at that map, that property is part of the property.
Okay.
Okay, anything under other business? No?
Yep.
Moving on to the warrants. Okay,
Carol and Barbara, you, and Melanie, maybe. You have the extra
Oh, the extra
warrant
one.
sheet on your.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Tian and Peter hadn't picked up their binders, so I put that in already.
Okay.
I can't remember if I got Melanie's in or, oh, so you already have it, you might have yours in already, okay, good.
okay. I move that we approve the AP warrant in the AP warrant 84, the amount of $53,998.75.
Second.
Any discussion on the warrant?
The Boston Post figures under card number services, the $364.
What was the name?
The Boston Post diggers, this looks like an auger digger that we need for a specific purpose.
Is it, credit card services, did you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Boston Post Diggers. It sounds like a quarry question.
It is. We bought it for digging cremation graves in the cemetery. Makes it much easier to dig. And we can use it also for digging post holes when we need to replace post holes for the town signs. It's a hand.
Is it a hand one or is it a 3-point hitch one to go on the tractor?
No, it's a hand one. It's like cast steel. It's almost a 2-person shovel. It's very, very user friendly, but quite heavy.
So not the auger or yes, the auger?
Not the auger. It's a handheld, almost like an old fashioned post hole digger that you've seen used, just a different version of it.
Okay, I was like, that's crazy. I was like, you can have mine. I don't use it.
Yeah, we've got 2 that don't work.
I hear a donation coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So has it got power to it? Or just people power?
Just people power.
Oh, that's
It must be a
crazy.
commercial.
I was thinking it should have some power source. I was like, damn.
I wish it did. But no, it's all people powered.
Oh,
You can dig a 5-foot hole with it straight down.
It's your upper body workout for the day.
Yeah.
For the moment.
That's for sure.
Yeah, that's the only thing I had on those.
Okay, anyone else have any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Dan,
Yes.
Carolyn,
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Tony? Yes, okay, 5 yeses. Okay, I move that we approve the payroll warrant number 85 in the amount of $27,960.90.
Second.
All in favor, Dan?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Nona? Yes. Peter?
Yes.
5 in favor. I move that we approve payroll warrant number 86 in the amount of $33,753.66. Which includes biannual fire rescue pay.
Check the report.
Any questions? Okay. Peter?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
5 yeses. I move that we approve B&B warrant number 87 in the amount of $6,356.37.
Second.
All in favor? Peter?
Yes.
Melanie?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Dan?
Yep.
5 in favor. All right, town manager's report.
Included that with your packet, pretty short as we just met, last week. Not sure if you have any, questions on anything.
I just want to say that the Center for All Seasons concerts have been, the first 2 concerts have been great.
I heard there was probably 300 people at
This
last
last one
week.
apparently was
I was
just,
throwing down, I was trying to get over to it, I was chasing the target. And he was busy meeting and greeting, hello, hello. And it's way back. And if they didn't say hi, he'd go back, hello.
It was fun. It was really, Christine is doing a great job running that program. It's really good.
Did anybody get their bills, their tax bills?
Yeah, I was more happy, I thought it was.
People have
Somebody
been-
called, she said, I
people
have
have been
questions,
coming
and
in.
I said, she would love to take your questions.
I asked Nick today if we had made any drawdowns on our tin yet. And we're monitoring it, but I think we can probably sneak through without.
That's what he was trying to do this year, because
Yeah.
last year he took some as like, buffer.
Yeah,
And
I
then
told him,
he
don't do it unless we have.
Take it down, you don't pay interest.
Right. That's good news.
What's the? Like this. Pine Grove sales summary. What is this
That's,
for?
I think that's something left over from the cemetery. You're the only one that. has that.
Okay, it was sitting on top of my street light policy that somebody put there. and
I-
what else?
I don't have one.
No,
You just shuffled it down to your pocket.
I think it was probably from the, I think it was probably from the cemetery.
As the testing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nothing for us.
Okay, anything else? I move the adjourn.
I second that.
All in favor, it's Peter.
Yes.
Carol, yeah. 5 in favor of adjourning. 8:55.
Woo-hoo.
Nice. 55 F, and it does go all the way to the road, but the driveway is up. And goes through Matt Elliott. 80